I was living at my parents' home at the time of this occurrence. I have since moved. But before I get into it, there are some things you should know. For one, my parents' house is a place that just feels like home. Everyone always says they feel so comfortable while they're there. And it's a place where the door is always open and friends just let themselves in. Now there's always people coming and going, and my pit bull mix, Harley, is very familiar with all of them. He's an 85-pound muscular beast that waits anxiously at the door for you to come in and gives you the warmest welcome. He's a rescue. So he's a bit skittish when it comes to some visitors, but basically, if he knows you, he loves you. He doesn't like brand new strangers though. It always takes a bit of time for him to get to know you. Then he's a sweetheart. Last summer, I was home alone with my little sister. I was 22 at the time, female, and she was 13. It was around 7 p.m. My parents were out, my other sister was out, and my boyfriend was planning on coming over within the hour. My bedroom was in the basement directly underneath the entrance upstairs, and my sister's bedroom was upstairs. I was laying on my bed relaxing and appreciating how the house was quiet for once. I heard the front door slowly creak open. This was really unusual because, as I said, if you're welcome in our home, you just walk right in, no hesitation. It was weird. I sat up because I knew Harley was upstairs, and I wanted to hear his reaction. I was being too lazy to go upstairs. Whoops. Like clockwork, I heard Harley scramble across the hardwood floor upstairs to greet whoever was there. But this time he was growling and snarling, viciously. He never does that. Ever.
"Hi, doggy,"
said an unfamiliar deep male voice with great caution. What the fuck? Harley wouldn't quit growling at the location I pinpointed from downstairs as the direct location as the front door.
"Shut up! Will you just shut up? Damn it, shut the fuck up!"
Yelled the voice at my dog. Nobody who's a friend of my family's would just ever talk to my dog like that, because he's my baby, and I will give you hell. Harley didn't stop. I was downstairs having a heart attack, frozen in fear, because I knew in the pit of my stomach that 1, we did not know this person, 2, that my little sister was upstairs alone, and 3, that my dog was dealing with a situation that I was too scared to confront, and that he is a beast. The door slammed shut. This whole occurrence took place over 1 minute time span, maybe even less. My dog came running and started scratching at the basement door, which means that he wanted to come down and see me. I went upstairs, checked all the rooms, and knocked on my sister's door. By the look on her face, I knew she was feeling the same exact way. We both started freaking out and called our parents. They thought we were exaggerating, and were pissed off that we asked them to leave their dinner early, as we were scared. However, when seeing how terrified we actually were, they tried to eliminate our fear by calling their friends to see if anybody stopped by unplanned, and I called my boyfriend, who was still a half hour away. I asked all my neighbors who could have seen anything, and they said they saw no cars come from down the street, which scares the shit out of me as I live on a dead-end street near a cul-de-sac. This means the intruder was on foot and could have came from the direction of the woods. Lovely. We called the cops, and they said they couldn't do anything besides patrol a little more closely. To this day, we don't know who that man was, but we know that it was a stranger and an intruder. We also know that my monster of a dog prevented this intruder from gaining access to my home with unknown intentions. A very creepy situation, to say the least. And my family finally began to lock the door. So I have shared stories about me before on Let's Not Meet, simply because being a paramedic lends me to seeing a whole ton of creepy stuff. But I decided that recent events were a ton more creepier, and that I would share them. Not only to give some entertainment at how sad some people are, but to give a shred of what some people go through. Until recently, I worked at a very large children's hospital in the southern US. I'm also transgender. I present myself as female at work, and identify my female pronouns and name. I've been doing this for 6 months now, openly. If you've kept up with the US politics recently, we're pretty much a target in politics at this point for every nut job who wants to make a name for themselves. My employer started out promising inclusivity, but since December it had become far more toxic and far more hostile, including me never to correct anyone who misgenders me and to stop presenting myself as female at work. I had made an effort to separate myself from several people who had made it their mission in life to harass me for my transition, one of whom told our director that she would beat the shit out of me if she caught me around her at work. Others had gone so far as to dig up social media and FetLife accounts and spread them around people at work. 6 months of this, an intrusion in my life had taken its toll. And I had a particularly hard shift one night where I was deliberately mistreated and insulted. I made the mistake of venting about my dysphoria on Facebook and talking about mental illness and depression in EMS. I had completed my shift at Job A. I don't want to represent my employer on social media. I don't even have pictures of me in uniform for a reason. And I'd clocked out and started to go home. I was actually in line to get food from my female partner, and I tried to have a sit-down dinner with her when my phone rang. It was dispatch, and I figured they thought I might have stayed late to chart, so they were calling us to see if we could take a late transport. They informed me that there was a police officer looking for a blank, and they needed to talk to me regarding a case. The dispatcher found it odd they used my dead name, and even asked why they would know that. Since the officer had threatened to go to my house and arrest me if I didn't come back, I headed back. I made a phone call to my partner to make contact with police friends of ours should I not call her in an hour. As I pulled in, I immediately noticed things which made me very uneasy. Keep in mind, this is where I work. Everyone knew me for years, and I was in uniform and presenting as female. This was an unmarked vehicle, not a DUI vehicle, regular unit, or field supervisor. Probably investigation or narcotics, based on the way the officer was dressed. As I walked back in, I was directed to the back of the ER, where this officer awaited me. "Hello, officer, how may I help you?" "Are you blank?" My dead name I never go by, not even my legal name. "Yes, I am real name. How can I help you?" "Is there someplace private we can talk?" Instant red flag. He wants to isolate me. Sure, let's go out here. Out of the patient care area I work in so we don't cause a scene in front of patients and family. I stopped at the elevator. It was a public area, well-traveled, and with a camera. I wanted a witness to see what I felt was about to happen. "May I ask what this is about? It's pretty highly irregular I get called back into work to talk to an investigator." He protested where I was talking to him, and I stood my ground and told him this was fine. I was not comfortable being alone with anyone right now. "I'm going to be blunt. You have people who are concerned enough about you to call me, and I want to take you somewhere that can help you. Will you let me do that?" At this point, I'm freaking out. Why did this guy think this? Why was he here? I noticed his patches. He's canine. The co-worker who said she was going to beat me was married to a canine cop. It was becoming clear. No, I will not. Am I under arrest? Not at this time. Then I'm exercising my Fourth Amendment right to walk away. This conversation is over. Bye. I turn to move around him. He steps in front of me, and he puts his hand on his gun. "If you try to leave, I'm arresting you and having you involuntarily committed. I can't guarantee you aren't going to kill yourself." I stopped. I actually laughed. Really? This was happening? Let me start by saying the threat of being sent to our local mental health center for clearance is terrifying enough to me as a trans woman. There are very well-known horror stories about being stripped of dignity, dehumanized, and having gender identity invalidated. And someone attempting to convince him he was insane at clearance because of dysphoria. All of the horror stories, the feelings of violent threats and poor care, all of that came rushing into me. It was clear now what was going on. This guy had tried to get me alone to give him probable cause to arrest me and take me to a mental hold. If you touch me, I will sue the shit out of you and your department for violating my rights. I am not suicidal, I am not going to harm myself or anyone else, and I am not under arrest. I'm not going to sit here in my place of employment and have my psychiatric issues with my gender dysphoria treated as if it makes me a threat to anyone. You are not a physician, you are not a psychologist, do not try to diagnose me. I took a step back at this point, wanting to put distance between him and I. This guy was staring at me at this point, laughing at me. He easily has a foot of height on me and is used to intimidating people. At this point, I can see only being led away in cuffs, thrown in a mental hospital, and made to look insane. I'm terrified. Well, if you just admit that you need help for how you feel, I can take you to people and resources that can help. Why won't you just come with me? He's laughing at this point, sing-songing. There are people starting to watch us, thankfully, patients and security. He notices this and becomes increasingly more insistent. My blood is boiling at this point. Fear and anger. I am getting help. I have an attending physician and psychiatrist treating me for my gender dysphoria. I do not need your help. It's like it suddenly dawned on him between his insistence on calling me sir, pet peeve, and the fake respect he gave to me each time he barked at me to try to intimidate me and assert dominance over me. Why are you angry with me? I'm only trying to help you, he says. I'm angry with the way people treat me. You are a convenient target for that anger because you are sitting here calling me suicidal and mentally unstable. I'm sure you understand it's not personal. He shows me a picture. It's a Facebook post where I had openly talked about how dysphoria is an insidious and disgusting thing, how it can make you suicidal and self-loathing. I'm trying to explain dysphoria for what it is, and he's grinning at me, looking at me as if I'm crazy. I finally stop, take a deep breath. I am not saying any more to you. I want to go home to my partner and enjoy the 6 hours I have off before I have to work job B on a 911 truck. Either arrest me or let me go. I will not consent to you civilly committing me for expressing my feelings. Then look me in the eyes and tell me you're not suicidal. I am not suicidal. He should have not been able to have that post. It was restricted view. He gives up finally. He had lost his isolation and is now being witnessed by multiple people. He takes my license and information. Great, now there's a record of me as an EDP in the county database. Wonderful. As soon as I get my license back, I turn around and walk off. Have a safe night, officer, as I walk back through my car. People can see I'm hurt, I'm furious, I'm humiliated, I'm embarrassed. I'm terrified he's gonna follow me, try to arrest me for some trumped up reason. Had it not been for a paramedic friend talking to me, I had never made it home. I was so scared. The next day I called to file a report about the incident and complain. There is no record. No call put in the dispatch computer. No record, no report of any contact with a police officer. He had done this as a personal favor to another canine cop, completely off the record, which scared me even more. What if he had taken me? Would I have ended up at the hospital for a 24-hour hold? I have since resigned my job, and I'm working for a more inclusive and tolerant company. But I had to end up flagging my home address for swatting with the local police department due to someone repeatedly calling in false armed party and suicidal individual calls to my resident for the next week. Hello. This is my first post to Let's Not Meet, so please take it easy. So this is a story that I always think is funny, but super relieving. It was such a close call. This happened during my mom's junior year of college, 1990, in Boston while she went to UMass. She was at a nightclub and started talking to some guy. He seemed, in her words, rough around the edges, but seemed nice enough. He was a rough construction worker, 6'4", and fairly muscular, while my mom was only 5'4", and probably only 100 to 110 pounds, like a stick. So one of her friends was drunk, and the other had gone to hook up with whoever, and they lived outside the city in an apartment, so my mom couldn't take the subway. The guy offers her a ride, and my mom grew up in a very sheltered existence in Puerto Rico before leaving home for college. Her graduating class in high school was only 27, so she wasn't exactly street smart when it comes to strangers. She says yes, and she knew something was wrong when she stepped into the car and he locked the doors. This is a pretty bad sign, IMO. I only really think it isn't sketchy when I'm riding with a friend. So the guy starts putting the moves on her, rubbing her wrist and arms, etc., and saying he's gonna take her home and show her a good time. My mom's super creeped out and is frozen. She's only 100 pounds and built like a Twiggy. So she starts to argue, the only way she can fight back. Right at that moment, she hears a, "Hey buddy, what the fuck you think you're doing?" from outside. She sees nothing, only a bush. And this threw the guy off enough that he stopped talking. Well, he tried to figure out what happened when some half-naked guy jumps out of the bush in his boxers. He starts knocking on the door, and the guy says to my mom to get out, angrily kicks her out since the guy was almost his size. As he sped off, my mother goes over to thank the guy. And as she's thanking him, her friend who had gone to hook up with somebody comes out of the bush wearing her t-shirt and panties, saying how scared she was. So that's the story about how my mom got saved by a talking bush, all because her friend was a total freak. What's up, guys? It's Holly Wizzle. I hope you enjoyed the video. And I also wanted to say, myself and Joey's Nightmares and my fiance Erin all developed a new channel called Purple Horror. We want people to send in their artwork, whatever they want displayed, their stories. We're trying to get other narrators to donate stories. And if the channel gets big, 100% of the revenue is going to go to anti-domestic violence agencies. We're trying to spread some awareness. A lot of people are homeless because there's no funding. They can't escape their abusers. It's just a really sad thing. I'm going to link some stuff in the description for you guys to check out. I'm going to link Purple Horror. And if you have any ideas, anything you want displayed, any stories you want, you can even give your narration skills a try. This is going to be our channel. I really hope you guys visit it, subscribe, like. There's going to be some videos posted soon on it, but there's an intro video on it that I really want you guys to see. And I hope you check it out. And have a good night. Peace!